Over here, we will relate some of the trigonometric functions with their angles and discuss some of the examples. Okay, so first of all, we will try how to memorize these values. You can see that we can relate negative 180, 0 degrees, and positive 180 degrees. As you can see in this diagram, over here is 0 degree, and over here is the positive 180 degree, and over here, when we move along with this, we will get the negative 180 degree. So we can easily see that in unit circle, the value of the outer pair is negative 1 and 0. And this side is origin. And over here, the other pair is positive 1 and 0. So we can easily say that the value of cos 180 degree is negative 1 and cos 0 will be positive 1. What if we just write it over here like this? We know that cos 0 is equal to x over hypotenuse, that the radius. And we know that is 1 and the radius is also 1. We can say that. But if we put a positive 180 degree, you know that the radius value will also be in positive, that is 1. But we know that the x value is negative 1 in the positive 180 degree. So we get cos 180 degree negative 1. So if we put sine 180 degree, we'll put 0 over here and we get the 0 values. Similarly, in that tan theta, this whole operation will apply. Okay, what if we see that negative 180 degree? And we know that if we put minus 180 degree, the operation will be this exact the same. We can write it in this form. You know that cos doesn't affect the sign in cos, but in sine and tan theta it does affect. But in cos we can write in this form that cos negative, they both are equal to each other. It doesn't get affected by any sign. Okay, but we still get the exact same value for cos negative 180 degree. So we can say that, so like this, we get these three values over here, the positive cos value, sorry, over here. Okay, what if we try to memorize the second type of angle, that is 135, and we can easily relate it with which number, that is 45. Yeah, positive 45 and the positive 135. Let me just erase this all. And we know that how can we relate it and how do we get the signs, negative and positive signs? It all depends upon the quadrant. You know that here lies our positive 45 degrees, here lies our 135 degrees, and here lies our negative 45 degrees, and here lies our negative 135 degrees. So you can see that in sine, when we put the sine negative 135, it's in quadrant 4 and we will get only the cos value positive, but sine and tan will be in negative form, as that we get. Oh, sorry, in fourth quadrant only the tan value is positive, but the cos and sine values are negative. Okay, similarly, if we see that in quadrant, that is negative 45, and we see that in third quadrant, that is a third quadrant, and only the cos value will be positive and the sine and tan value will be negative, as you can see over here. Let me just highlight this. So the signs will change along with the quadrant. Okay, in positive, over here, positive 45. Over here you will get all of the positive values of cos, cos 45, sine 45 or tan 45. So you can see that you will get the positive values. But in positive 135 you will get only the positive value of sine 135, but you will get the negative values of cos and tan, because in second quadrant only the sine values will be positive. So in this way you can memorize these four values along with the quadrants. Okay, now we can relate the negative 90 with positive 90 and the positive 270. And you can see it again relates with the quadrants. Like it's the positive 90, it's the positive 270, and over here there will lie the negative 90. And you know that over here you will get the positive 1. Again, that we, sorry, you will get the order pair 0 and positive 1 along with the positive side of 90 degrees. But when we move over here, you will get 0 and negative 1. So by doing this, by relating this whole thing, you will get the positive values and the negative values of sine minus 90 and sine positive 90. Like you can see this over here. So when you put the negative sign, you will get the negative values, and when you put the positive value, that is positive 90 degree, you will get the positive value, that is 1. And again the values relates with the 270 with the negative 90 degree. Okay, there is something missing over here. You know that tan 90, or if you say that tan negative 90, or one thing more, tan 270. You can relate these three angles with each other. You will always get an undefined value. Undefined value. It's not that much visible. Okay, so you will get undefined values over here. Okay, so the second one and the fourth one is we can relate the 30 degrees with 150. 30 degrees with 150 degrees. Okay, okay, let me just use a different color. Okay, if I just use the white, that's not that much visible. Okay, 30 degree, it relates with 150 degree. You can get the value, same value, but with different signs. Okay, so you can see that over here you will get the 30 degree, and over here you will get the positive 150 degrees. Okay, they didn't mention any negative value, but you can easily relate whenever they ask you any question related with the negative 150 degree or the negative 30 degree, you can say that that will lie over here in third quadrant, and in third quadrant only the cos value will be positive and the sine and negative tan value will be negative, and negative 150 will lie over here. Okay, in 30 degree it lies in the first quadrant. In first quadrant, all the values of sine, cos, and tan will be positive, so you will get all the positive values over here. But in 150, that lies in second quadrant, and over here you know that over here only the sine value will be positive, and other two values, that is of cos and tan, will be negative. Okay, you have to memorize these values 1 over 2, negative under root 3 over 2, and negative 3 over 3. Okay, okay. So the last one that we can relate is 60 with 120. And you know that the diagram really resembles with that quadrant of that 30 and 150 degrees. You will get 60 over here and 120 over here, and you will get all the positive values for 60s, but in the second quadrant you will get only the positive value for sine 120. Okay, so over here we missed one thing, and I think so we we can relate it with negative 180 degree, positive 180 degree, positive 180 degree, 0, and negative 180 degree. All right, so this is the whole thing. We can relate these different angles with each other and get the value. But please remember the quadrant in your mind. Okay, here's an example that we need to do. You have to find out the values for sine negative 180. Okay, so we know that negative 180 degree is absolutely in the negatives, in the opposite direction of positive 180 degree. So we know that over here the value is positive 1 and 0. The order pair is 1 and 0. But we can find out the values negative 180. And we can find out the values for, we know that it's positive, it's 0, and the radius is 1, or you may say that radius is positive. So similarly you can see that it will be negative 1, sine negative 180 will be 0, then negative 180 will also be 0, because we know that sin 10 will also be in this way. You need to put the y value over here, and the radius, that is 0, and radius is 1, so you can say that it's also 0. So we know that the chord is the reciprocal of tan theta, so we can easily write the 0 over here. Secant is the reciprocal of cos theta, we can write negative 1, and cosecant is the reciprocal of sine theta, we can write the 0 over here. Okay, so next we need to find the values for negative 120. So again, we need to relate with the current. But over here, we have the values for positive 120. But now we have to find for negative 120. So here lies our positive 120, and in the opposite direction to that, here lies our negative 120. So you can see that over here only the tan value will be positive, but the cos and the sine will be negative. Okay. So you can say that the values will be the same, like, but the signs will change. As you can see that sine and cos will be negative, and the tan negative 120 will be positive in the fourth quadrant. So cot theta, cot negative 2 pi over 3 will be the reciprocal of that tan theta, that will be in this form, and second is the reciprocal of cos theta, that will be in this form, and that will be in this form. All right. So now we need to see the 0 degrees, and we know that that will be exactly the same. Oh, that will be exactly the same, but in 0 quadrant you can say that all values will be the positive. So we can easily write it in this form. The values will be the positive. Okay, so now we have to see the positive 90 degree. Positive 90 degree lies over here, and we know that the 90 tan 90 is undefined, and that sine 90 is 1, and cos 0, cos 90 is 0. So we can easily write those values over here, and you can write undefined over here and gain the undefined value, and gain over here 0 and 1. All right. So the last one is 3 pi over 4. You have to memorize these whole values and do the question on your own. Okay, 135 degrees, sine 135 degree lies in the second quadrant, and over here only the sine values will be positive and other two will be negative. And you can write that, or you may write it in this way too. So this is a whole method of doing this. I left one question for you to do it on your own.